Hello there, everybody. Happy Sunday. Hello there, everybody. Happy Sunday. Hello there, everybody. Okay, hopefully I cut off that echo. It looked like it was in sync. Let me say hi to folks, and you let me know whether you can hear everything okay. Hey, Matt, how are you? Ron Shack, good to see you, Ron. Hope you got your jokes all ready. Nemo Unknown, good morning to both of you, or to you. David Smith, as always. All right, so, and Antonio, hey, welcome. Mark Siebes, hello. Hi, everybody. If somebody could let me know whether they can hear me, that would be awesome. And I will get going. Zabel clause. Okay, that's pretty good, I guess. That's a pretty good one. All right, still working on the whiskers. Yep. Sound is good. Okay, excellent. Okay, so Matt asked what my favorite delay pedal is. RMG, hello. And I have to say, I don't have a favorite pedal anymore. Ever since I got my Black Star, I just use what's on the amp. It's simple as that. I have 4 delays, and I just use what's on that. But I'm sure if I were willing to shell out a lot of bucks for pedals, I'm not a pedal kind of guy. I don't use a lot of pedals. So anyway, that's what I use now. And we'll show you some of that stuff. So to begin, I'll tell you what, why don't we do a little, as we're waiting for some folks, why don't we do a little bit of improv, as usual. This one, see if you can recognize the chord progression, and we'll get going. Let's see, let me move this over to here, give myself a little room to improvise. And there we go, now you can see it. Sorry, Rick Beato, I have my tuner on there. I can't resist saying that. All right. Hey, Mar Randy. Good to see you. All right, so let's go. Let's try this one out. Have a little fun. Yeah. Good. All right. Enough foolishness. All right, so hopefully you like the improv today from some fun chord progression there. If you didn't get it, it was definitely CCR. There we go. Sieb's got it for sure. And let's check a few others. What you thought about it. Hope you enjoyed it. It's the Black Star. Okay, so there's a couple of questions. The Black Star is a digital amp, the one that I have. So it's nice and light. And so enjoy that. Hey, TBA, nice to see you. Mike Rutherford, hello to you. That's right, as long as I see the light is the thing. Ron got it as well. McDonald BR, hello from freezing Scotland. Well, it's freezing here too. Antonio is here as well. Hey, Geert is here. Hello, Mark and my fellow Zabelers. That's funny. Country-esque, yes, it's CCR. And what's interesting about that one, hopefully, one thing that's fun, thank you, TBA, and I'm glad you enjoyed that one, Ron. The chord progression's kind of interesting. Let me take you just through a little bit of this. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Let's go over the chords, and I'll take off the distortion here. Or just some of it anyway. And yeah, there we go. Okay, so we've got I'm playing it in B. I don't know what the original key is, but I'm playing it in B. And it's just rather standard except for one thing. So we're going to go from B to F sharp to B, and then there's these little Stones-ish sort of things. That's just hammering on to like an E extension. But anyway, that's B to F sharp to B. And then it goes B to G sharp minor, back to B, back to F sharp. Okay, so so far it's all basically just in B. You know, so you can play B Major Pentatonic. It's going to sound great over it. You know, that kind of stuff's going to sound great. And then the last part, however, goes B to F sharp, and now to an E7. And that E7 gives you some scope to play some bluesier type of things, right? So, you know, if you want to, you can go from, say, a major pentatonic to there's a couple of different things you can use. You can use lots of things here, but you can do your major pentatonic. You can just play that over that E, and that sounds good. Or you can play, you know, a B blues scale. Or you can play Mixolydian. Right? All those work great. Or you can even play Dorian mode if you want to. So instead of playing B, you can go to A. And that sounds pretty good. So you have lots of different options there. And I kind of dig it, right? Or you can just play the whole thing in B major pentatonic, and then when you get to that E7, you can just play deliberately over that 7. You know, you can play that kind of stuff. All right, just deliberately play over that E7. So lots of good stuff. Hey, but we weren't going to do that today. We don't do that. We're not going to do that today. We were going to do some stuff on my favorite maligned guitar player, and that's the Edge. That's the Edge. I was going to try out a new mic because I thought that last week the sound came out a little bit tinny, and so I was going to try a different mic, but I just didn't get around to it. And so this might sound a little bit thin today. But anyway, what we're going to do, I guess, is we're going to go over how to get that edge sound. Let me catch up just a little bit here on this. So I think the Edge is one of these guys who comes up all the time in the who's overrated category, and I'm not really afraid. I'm not really a fan of that sort of discussion, although it's fun to play once in a while. I think anybody who's created a bunch of really iconic licks is by definition is somewhat deserving of his fame and praise. But anyway, yeah, I believe the Edge is an excellent guitarist, and he came up with all this stuff. People say, well, without a delay pedal, he's nothing. But he was the one who kind of developed a lot of this stuff. So we're going to go over his fabled delay sound. And so, the idea is, what would be some of the things that we're what are some of the elements of that sound so we can make it up. So the sound I'm talking about for everybody to get, and I've got a little sun in my eyes here. The sound I'm talking about is kind of this. Let me see if I can play a little closer. I need to get a metronome in here for just a second so I get the right bearings. I should have probably played something on the right thing there. That's about it. So. All right. Well, you get the picture, right? you get the picture. So the whole key to making that sound is what's called the dotted eighth note. So it's something that's kind of in between. So if you play a single note, so I was playing. So to play it really slow, I could play. Let me stick to D minor here. So a lot of people, so let me give you some basics on this one. So first of all, to get the Edge sort of sound, you want to play, it's good to use a Strat. This is pretty thin and it's not a heavy sound. So I can either, pull up and give myself the split the pickups and maybe play on here. Helps if you have a single coil. But, the Edge also used double coil pickups as well every once in a while. So there you go. So that helps. You'll also want, with your delay, usually delays at least have a few settings. One is how much you want to mix it in. The second thing is how many repeats that you've got. And for the number of repeats, you want quite a bit. And for the mix, you want it pretty moderate. So you don't want just a little bit in the mix. And you want it to be to have lots of repeats. So to give you an idea, I will I'll turn down the number of repeats, and you'll see it doesn't happen anymore. So let me up this up a little bit. Oops, I didn't didn't do what I thought. I turned down the mix. Hold on a second. Oh, I see what happened. So, you know, if you don't have that many repeats, or you don't have it in the mix too much, so you probably need a little bit more than that. So I'm going to amp it up just a little bit. And I'll show you the controls in just a second. So actually, why don't I just show it to you right now? So there we go. So there's my black star. And so I've selected on the delay here. And then this allows me to, let's see if I can get a little bit closer. It's a little too much. Okay, so I have 4 different delays, which are shown by these little sweeps there. And by moving it closer to the edge, no pun intended, by moving it from here, say, to here, that allows me to put more into the mix, or more repeats, I'm sorry, and this allows me to put more of it into the mix. So I can mix more or less into it. So you want a fairly high amount of mix, and you want lots and lots of repeats for this. So that's at least the first part. And then I'll show you how to get the... so the last part is, and really the most important part, is sort of the timing of it. Now, if you have an expensive... and I'll show you a different one as well, a different delay that I use sometimes. And actually, it turned out it was the one I was using during playing there. Unbeknownst to me, I thought it was the amp delay. It was a different delay. In any event, in any way, a lot of people now, they have a delay where you actually have a button, and you hit the button, and it'll give you a dotted eighth note. But what if you don't have that? Well, I've watched some other things, and I used to go through like these mathematical formulas, but it's actually really, really simple to do this. So I'll show you how to do it. Wow, that's a lot of repeats. Okay, so let me show you how to do it. I don't know if you can still hear that. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so I'm going to aim for 100 beats a second. So I've got my metronome on that. And just to show you, basically, I guess what I was going to say is, it was always a mystery to me to how to set this thing, but I'll show you how to set it, and it's actually pretty simple. So I've got it on 100 beats a minute. Hopefully you can hear that. If you can hear that, that's great. And so let me show you, if you set the delay to the same timing, it's not going to work. So that's not going to work. So it's not like 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to tap it. A lot of people have a tap on their delays. So I'm going to tap it, and I'll show you that. So if I tap it just 4 times, like with the beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now let me stop that, and if I play it at the same tempo, it's not going to work. Let me try it again. Okay. So you can hear how that doesn't work. It just gives it to me at the same rate. So the next thing that I always used to try was, well, let me try doubling it, because that might help. So if I try that, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be like an eighth note sound. So let me try tapping that. Okay, so that's this. And I'll try playing it again. And that doesn't work either. That doesn't either. Yeah, so Mark Siebes says his delay has it. So if you have that dotted eighth, that's great. So neither of those works, but I'm going to show you how to do this. So if you know how to, you don't have to know polyrhythms or all that stuff. The only thing you have to know is how to count out a triplet. That's it. So when you've got, on this one in 4/4, if you have 2 beats and you count out 3, that'll be our triplet rhythm that we're going to go for. And if you tap that in, then it's going to work. And I'll show you. So let's try this first. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Ba ba ba. Triplet, 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 triplet. Okay. So now I'm going to tap that in, and I'll try and show. That's what I'm tapping. Oops, I lost my metronome there. I'll try and show that's what I'm tapping at that time. Okay, let me see if I can show it. Okay, you should see it slower now. Okay? Triplet, oops, messed up. Triplet, 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 triplet. I think I was going a little bit faster. Let me try this one more time. Triplet, 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 triplet. All right. Okay, so hopefully that didn't give you too much of a headache. But now check it out when I play, I'll just play the quarter notes and you'll see that it's going to work. All right. So hopefully that works now. Now I checked the sync beforehand and it was working just fine, so hopefully it's still syncing okay. TBA says it's way out of sync. I'm hoping it's just TBA. No offense, TBA. All right, so once you do that, it should have that. And it's got that in between, and that's the thing that makes it happen. So you can hear what it sounds. When 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So anyway, so that's one way of doing it, is just count out triplets on a 4/4. So set your metronome at whatever pedal that you whatever speed that you want, and then just count out the triplets. If you have a tap on your pedal, tap out a triplet rhythm on there, and it just works. Don't worry about whether you're getting a polyrhythm right, or don't worry about some mathematical formula. Just count out the beat in 4/4 and play triplets, and tap into the triplets. Okay, let me try and resync, okay? Because a couple of people have said the sync's out, so we're going to take a second to resync. This is going to take a minute, okay, guys? So bear with me. And there's going to be some repeats. So, okay, testing. Okay, testing. Okay. Yeah, it's still in sync on my side, so I have a feeling that it's okay. Okay. All right. Well, I think it must have been just my guess is it was just moving around the camera that put it out. That was probably the issue, was moving around the camera. And it probably taxed the computer a bit. So Ron, what a polyrhythm is 2 rhythms going on at once. And so if you can imagine doing 4/4 with one hand and 3/4 with another, that would do it. So yeah, it was probably, my guess is what put it out of sync was the moving the camera around, and that probably put too much strain on the computer, on the CPU. So anyway, so Geert is asking what delay pedal did Edge first use, and did he use a rack mounted? I think he used rack mounted stuff, if I recall, but I don't know for sure. It was during that time for sure. Now the other one that I have, and you can do this on these as well, just to give you an idea. Like here's an absolutely crappy delay pedal, right? This is the absolute sort of minimal thing that you've got here. And I've got three things. I've got the blend. So that's, I guess, the mix. That's the, let me see if I can find it. The delay's right there. Yeah, so the blend. Oops. Blend. No. Blend. That's the mix. So how much I want to mix it in. You can see I've got about half. And then this is the repeats. So I've got that at like 6/10 or 7/10. And then the third one is the timing button. So if I put more delay or less delay into that. So you can see I've got a pretty heavy mix, and I've got a decent amount in the of repeats. And I could probably lower that repeat rate a little bit. And then to do this, I just experiment, and I have an idea about, you know, what will give it to me at a certain time frame. But then I can just you know, get it to, what I try to do when I'm doing it is I get it to repeat exactly, and then I speed it up just a little bit to get that. But there's no way to tap it in on this one, so there might be, actually. I wonder if I can tap on the pedal here. I wonder if that works. Anyway, I haven't tried it, but it works okay. Oh God. Anyway, so that's that. So that is it. All right. Hey, Robbie Love. Having troubles, can't watch. Okay. Sorry, man. Okay. It was a Korg. Okay, that makes a lot of sense, Iron Man. That makes a lot of sense. All right. So anyway, hope that was helpful a little bit. It was helpful to me. I used to always do that, and I don't know what possessed me, but I was in the sort of a mood to do a couple of U2 songs this week, and I dusted off my old stuff about the delay, and I realized on the pedals that I usually use nowadays, I don't have pedals, but I have like built into the amp. I don't have I can't set the milliseconds. You know, on some of the units I can set the exact number of milliseconds, so my formulas were useless to me. So I had to just tap it in, and it turns out it's a lot easier than I thought. So, yeah. So on the rhythms, it's kind of the same. So, oh, let me put the delay back on. Yeah, how about that? Let's see if I can get it again. I think they played it a little bit faster, so I'm gonna up the speed just a little bit, maybe to 110, and we'll do this again. Triple it, triple it, triple it, triple it. I'll tap that in. Okay, so let's see how this works. So yeah, similar sorts of things. You might want to pull off on the number of repeats a little bit, and that might help. So because when you're playing the chordal work, those repeats can kind of blend into each other. What's interesting to me, I think, when I'm playing that kind of stuff, let me see if I can go back to what I was playing before. I'll turn this off. I don't know, I was kind of fooling around. Turn the delays down just a little bit. What I find is that a clean-ish sound is good. It doesn't have to be clean, but it should probably be clean-ish. And then also if you mute quite a bit, it helps. So, and that's different than if you. It doesn't lend itself to that kind of stuff. So if you mute a little bit, it can make it. And playing simple arpeggios, I think, really works, or simple chords really works. And that's different. Again, that muting, I think, really helps. Sound does not sound anywhere near as good as, right? So you just have to give it some time to do that. Simple stuff, I think, is good. Not a lot of distortion. Bends don't seem to work all that well. Not if you want to play more stuff. But although Seeger did it in her strut, he has a delay on there. Anyway. All right. Let's see. I want to hear the Edge using a volume pedal. Pat Raw. Nissan 570 LSX. Nice car. Found your stuff from Hot Rod Lincoln. Good stuff. Yeah, glad you like that stuff. I like playing that kind of stuff as well. Now, somebody said I had a retired old man's beard. Retired man's stubble. Yeah, I'm kind of enjoying the time that I'm not traveling for right now. So that's what's going on right now. We'll see how long it lasts. We'll see how long it lasts. All right. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Mark Siebes, the Edge is difficult to do, and it is hard. One other thing that helps when you're keeping it simple with the delay pedal is you don't want to miss, because when you miss, it's like you miss 5 times, right? If you muff a note. So if you play, if I didn't want to play that major, I wanted to play the minor. That sounds great, but if I accidentally hit this note, it's going to sound bad, not just once, a lot. Yeah, see, it sounds awful. And it sounds awful a bunch of times. All right. So anyway, yeah, he was an amazing player, and he had to come up with really cool stuff. So anyway, developed the sign. Does Mrs. Mark like the beard? Sorta. All right. Frank asks, is there any snow here? Osman 5151, is there any snow here? There is a little snow. It's just about melted now, so it's just about gone. Andy Summers said that the Edge plays with fourth with harmonies. Thoughts? Plays fourths with the harmonies. He does play a lot of fourths, I think. So you can hear him when he's playing his like on Sunday Bloody Sunday. There's a lot of fourths in that, for sure. No question about it. It's interesting because it's not in sort of an R&B setting. But again, for those of you who know this, fourths are kind of what we played before last week with the Cornell Dupree stuff, and that was the. Oops, let me turn it to clean. Right? So those are all fourths. the edge certainly uses that sort of harmony quite often, which is interesting. Play bad. Let's see. Bad. What you mean? Bad by Michael Jackson? Blackmore uses fourths a lot. Yeah, that's right. Smoke on the Water is. Right? Those are fourths. They're useful in jazz a lot because they're sort of enharmonic. There's all sorts of things that you can do with fourths. Kind of play those if you want to. Actually, that's a really cool thing to do if you want to break up your solo and you're playing, whatever you're playing in you can just play any sort of chord. You can play a diminished and just think of that top note and play on that minor pentatonic. So you're playing an A, doesn't matter, A major, A minor, doesn't matter. And you can play a note. Now, Robin Ford used to play ninths. That sounds good. But if I like playing sixth, ninth sort of ideas, which are fourths, which are made from fourths. And those harmonies, it's interesting how they work. One other place where there's fourths, which is kind of interesting, is in Neil Schon's Solo to Lights. Those are fourths. You know how he does that line? It's a little bit faster than what I just played it there, but those are all fourths. Cool stuff for sure. Cool stuff. Ron says, I don't understand fourths and sixths and all that. So those are intervals, right? So it's two notes that are separated by so many notes in the scale. And so the most common ones are probably thirds. So just very quickly, let's play, let's say we're playing an A major chord. And we want to play some thirds. So we would start on the, let's say right here is the A major scale would be. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to play notes that are separated by third. 1, 2, 3. So that would be 3 there. You've heard that, I'm sure, before. And if I wanted to play with the note starting here, it would be 1, 2, 3, right? So it would be the 2, 3, 4 notes of the A major scale, but they're separated by 3 notes. And so forth. That's like Ventures and south of the border, of the American border sort of music, right? You hear thirds in that a lot. So anyway, cool sound. Let's see, I only really love 3 Rainbow songs. Oh, wow. Intervals from the root note. Yeah, so you can think of these. So a fourth would be, from this one, a fourth of A would be the first and the fourth, right? So that's a fourth right there. A fifth would be, a sixth would be hitting the sixth note. A seventh. Sevenths usually aren't played because they clash a little bit. And in an octave, which is really an eighth. So people don't usually play seconds, right? Because that's hard to finger, for one thing. But that would be an A and the B, so that would be like this. People don't usually play seconds, but they'll play thirds. And fourths. And fifths. And sixths. But not sevenths, and they'll play eighths. So anyway, just intervals. We'll do some stuff. All right, we'll do some stuff that's pretty simple on intervals because I think a lot of people have asked for it. So why the heck not? We'll do some of that stuff, and Yeah, works them well. I think intervals are some of the easiest or some of the neatest ways of playing, and my favorites are sixths. I love sixths. Steve Cropper used that a lot. Lots of delay on bad. Okay. I see. Guess the Edge is a good fit for you too. When I think of top guitarists, I never think of him. Well, yeah, I mean, I think if you're a guitarist and you're thinking about things from a guitar perspective, the Edge doesn't come up. But if you think about music, U2 is one of the most iconic bands ever. And the Edge was a key part of that sound. So to me, that's success, is how you blend in what you do with music. So, you know, at least that's the way I think of it. I tend to be in that camp as opposed to, say, the Yngwie Malmsteen camp. I'm not a fan of the sort of the 1980s arms race and playing the most notes per second that went on in the late 80s. And Malmsteen being the top of that, but Vai and Satriani, I never loved that stuff. Satriani played... Vai and Satriani can play slowly and melodically. I hear them all the time. I haven't heard Malmsteen do it too much. Again, I don't want to shit on anybody who's a musician here. Malmsteen does what he does, and he's successful, and he makes money, so bully for him. That's great. I just don't care to listen to it. And that is a good segue, I think, to today's question. So I thought today we'd have a maybe a little discussion, and I can pick up the guitar a little bit later as well if that's where we get led, but that's all fine. That's all good. Okay, yeah, and there's a number of videos that are out there on intervals. I think somebody mentioned Ian Stitch's. Yeah, his is pretty good. So there's other ones that are out there. And like I said, I'll do one pretty soon. All right. Yes, of course, Garrett. I don't want to forget about mentioning George with melodic play. Okay. All right. So, all right. So, yes. Edge calls himself a sideman. Studio Deluxe. Watch It Might Get Loud, where the Edge interacts with Jimmy Page. Yeah, great film. So much fun to watch that. So much fun to watch that. Yep. So, yeah, I think in order to understand intervals and all that kind of stuff, you really need to know the major scale. And once you know the major scale, it's a foundation for so many other things. It makes theory so much easier if you know that kind of stuff. All right. So anyway, so today's question we're going to start out with is what band, not single artist, okay, not a single artist, but what band do you know is good, but you don't like listening to them? So what's a band that you know is good, that they're really good, but you, whenever their song comes on the radio, you turn it off? You know, what would be a band that would be like that? And maybe why? What is it that you don't like about it? So for me, for example, an example of that is Nirvana. I acknowledge that Nirvana is a great band, probably the last really great band, rock band so far. Maybe Pearl Jam, I don't know. But I just don't like their music at all. I always turn it off. So let's see. So Geert says the band. Oh, breaks my heart. I love the band. Frank says Grateful Dead. So yeah, it can be more than one. So McDon BR says Black Sabbath. I'm with you, actually, McDon BR. I can't listen to Sabbath much. One or two songs and I'm done. Radiohead. That's interesting. Radiohead. Clark says Billy Joel. Now we want to get bands, not single artists. Maybe we'll do single artists a little bit later. The Billy Joel band? I don't know if that was a thing. King Crimson, says McDon BR. Okay. So, Okay, so that's interesting, Geert. Geert says he's been watching that around the world with the weight, and he likes that. Okay, so a couple of people have said the Grateful Dead. Yeah, Santana. Ron Shack says Skinnerd. That's interesting. So I felt that way for a long, long time. I would pretty much always turn off Skinnerd except for a few songs like Tuesday's Gone, I always liked. And Saturday Night Special, I always liked. But Free Bird and especially Give Me Three Steps. Oh, hated that song. But I got used to them. John Mayer Trio, says Pedro. Yeah, that is a band for sure. Okay. I don't know if everybody on here would agree that they're great, though. So yeah, I think you're in. I happen to think they're really good, but I think you're in company that would be with you. G and R. So let's see. So who is Studio Deluxe? G and R is who? Red Hot Chili Peppers. Somebody. So TBA has said a few different groups, but gotta stick with groups, not people. So Grateful Dead, Stones, the Eagles, and the list goes on and on. So confine yourself to groups. Okay, so the Grateful Dead has said so. The Eagles, huh, and the Stones. Wow, that is really interesting. Hogan says Echo and the Bunnymen. Oh wow, that's a long time ago. Big Lebowski hated the Eagles. Is that right? I don't remember that in that film, but that's okay. I don't like the Eagles either. I almost always turn them off. Almost always turn them off. Aerosmith. Wow. So Mr. Thomas V says Aerosmith and anything metal, but you got to name a great group that people acknowledge as a great metal group. I don't know of any personally. All right, that was a dig, but I don't know a lot of stuff. Every band, of course, Nemo Unknown. Every band depends on the mood. So have been times that I listen to Nirvana, but that I won't turn it off. But almost always I do. Mixed voice wears on you. Okay, Aerosmith too. Huh. What is it? I wonder what it is. What is it about Aerosmith that gets you? Mayer with the Dead. John Mayer played with the Dead? That sounds weird to me. Your aunt killed Aerosmith. Guns N' Roses. Okay. Guns N' Roses. All right, Mr. Thomas V. It's got to be a great band. The Partridge Family does not count. Sorry to David Cassidy and anybody who actually could play. Tyler. So it's Steven Tyler? Okay. Ozman says Def Leppard. Okay. The Banana Splits. Is that right? John Mayer tours with the Dead? Wow. So who's left in the Dead? It's just like Phil Lesh is maybe left, right? And Bob Weir. Everybody else is dead, right? All right. Okay. So it looks like we've got a bunch. So I'm going to put in mine Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd's another one that I recognize as a great band, but I almost always turn off their songs with a few exceptions. With a few exceptions. I really love some of their songs, but most of the stuff I turn off. Frank Rizzo says Foreigner. 1910 Fruit Gum Company. You lost me, Mr. Thomas. David Smith says Genesis. Now, David, old Genesis, like with Peter Gabriel and Steve Hackett, or once they left with Mike Rutherford and Phil Collins. That's interesting that Garrett and TBA feel similarly to me with Pink Floyd and McDonald BR. Okay, that's interesting. Phil Collins. Okay. Yeah. I get tired of their stuff with Phil Collins, although I have to admit I like the Abacab album, okay? But I love their old stuff like Lamb Lies Down on Broadway and Nursery Crime and Foxtrot. I love that stuff. Selling England by the Pound. Great stuff. Oh, Iron Man 333 said the Beach Boys. Yeah, the Beach Boys for me too. The Beach Boys get me. Tesla. I don't know Tesla. They're a metal band. Maybe they're good. I don't know. I don't know if there is there such a thing as good metal? Sorry. Unless you count Zeppelin as metal, then I think that's good. All right. Let's see. Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. Pink Floyd sometimes would play very, very slow songs. I mean, there are times I will admit where I listen to Pink Floyd, uh, and some of those times may become legal again in the U.S. But that I did enjoy listening to Pink Floyd during those times. Okay, Zeppelin. So TBA says Zeppelin. So you don't like Zeppelin? Wow. Zeppelin and the Stones. That's pretty interesting. Wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Studio Deluxe says Rolling Stones. Okay, now we're going to change it up a little bit. So I want you to name. So Mr. Thomas TV is probably going to be good for this one. But now you got to name a crappy band that you know is crappy, right? But you like to listen to them. It's sort of a guilty pleasure, right? So, for example, for me, would be that stupid. It would be Jesse J and that Money song. I don't even know the name. Or Jason J. Actually, Jay Mraz is okay, but like somebody said, the Partridge Family. I don't. If I were into that, that would be something, or maybe the Bay City Rollers or something like that. So, who would be a cheesy band? How about cheesy? You don't have to say crappy, but a cheesy band that's a guilty pleasure of listening for you. Wheatus Teenage Dirtbag, Thompson Twins, Loverboy, love it, Phil Ab. Yeah, Loverboy's real cheesy, but I enjoy listening to them too. Blink 182, I don't know them. T Rex, oh, Ozman, you got it. Rainbow, except Rainbow is pretty, arguably good. I mean, Blackmore, and you gotta say Duran Duran, ABBA. Oh, ABBA is a great answer. I love that. I love that answer. April Wine. April Wine was pretty real, though. I thought they were okay. I mean, they were a little bit poppy rock. Yeah, songs are. Tommy Two Tone Jenny. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. I would say, a band for me would be 38 Special. I think that they're a little bit cheesy. They're kind of like a Skinner copy slash ripoff, but man, I love listening to some of their songs. Just good. But you could argue that they're a good band too. Tiny Tim. Really, Ozman? Is that for real? Sieb says the Thompson Twins. Yeah. That's you're not the first person to say it. Freddie and the Dreamers, I don't know them. I like all the hokey Motown stuff. I listen to that a lot. But some of it, I hesitate to say whether it's really good or not, because it's old and some of it's pretty cheesy. Smokey Robinson, it's a little bit cheesy, but man, it's got good melody and really well worked out. All right. Herman's Hermits. Mrs. Brown, you have a lovely daughter. Fastway. Commodores. Oh, Phil M. That is a great. Oh, by the way, thank you, Phil. I got it. I appreciate it. Thank you. Phil M. comes up with a great answer. The Commodores. Yeah, the Commodores. Dave Clark 5. Bee Gees. Oh, Bertrand, that is a great answer too. I actually love listening to the Bee Gees. And I like listening to their most hated period, the disco period. I like listening to How Deep Is Your Love and Night Fever. I just like listening to that stuff. Yeah. Ooh, The Sweet. That's a good answer too. Ballroom Blitz. Ron Shack says, I'd rather poke my ears with a screwdriver than listen to Yoko. God. That was the hardest part to take of the movie Let It Be, I thought. Yeah, now the Bee Gees were actually, at one point in time, they were really good. And To Love Somebody is really a soulful song. It kind of reminds me of Righteous Brothers, although with a higher pitch. But New York Mining Disaster, 1941. Gotta Get a Message to You. They have some good songs, for sure. Definitely some good songs. So here's another guilty pleasure of mine is Gladys Knight and the Pips. I listen to Gladys Knight. I just think she's the greatest singer ever. I just love her singing. And not just like Midnight Train to Georgia. I like a lot of her minor hits. It's Gotta Be That Way is like a song that just, I love listening to it. She builds it so perfectly. So good. And unlike a lot of the divas today, her voice cracks a little bit. It's not so over the top. Yeah, good stuff. I like the more refined stuff too. I like the Anita Baker where she holds back a little bit too. Good stuff. Soundgarden, but weren't they actually good? Wasn't Soundgarden actually good? Yeah, the best thing that ever happened to me, or Neither One of Us Wants to Say Goodbye. I can't remember what that song's called, but that end part where they hold it for one extra measure, where they hold that chord and her voice cracks. Oh, so good. Okay, Sieb, see ya. George Michael. Ooh, I've got a good one. What about Electric Light Orchestra, ELO? Now, none of it. Some of it's really genuinely good music, but it's a little bit cheesy. Casey and the Sunshine Band. Really, Ron? You really listen to that? Early Madonna. No kidding. Early Madonna. Wow, that is definitely a guilty pleasure. Bangles, Say My Name, Sunshine Through. Holiday is a good song. I like that song. Oh, Into the Groove. Yeah, that's a fun song too. I don't know, Geert. I don't know. It's interesting that you can't stand ELO because they're so Beatles influenced. Beatles loved them, or at least they did. All right, Wang Chung. Everybody Wang Chung tonight. So, is that right? Susanna Hoffs is still gorgeous. That's interesting. Yeah, she was gorgeous for sure. ELO is annoying. Roxy Music. See, I guess I told you it's a guilty pleasure. Roxy Music also seems good though. Influence does not mean good though. It's true, but I don't know, man. Listen to Concerto for a Rainy Day on Into the Blue. Pretty good. All right, pretty highly musical. All right, but I understand it's really super overproduced, and Jeff Lynne had a style, for sure. Let's see, Eternal Flame by the Bangles. Oh yeah, that was the one. Garrett, you went to see ELO in concert? No kidding. I haven't seen them since, I don't know, a long time ago. Neil Diamond is nails on a chalkboard, on a blackboard. Yeah, to me too. I can't stand Neil Diamond. Can't stand them. Traveling Wilburys. Yeah, they were produced. So that, now, if you don't like Jeff Lynne's production style, the Traveling Wilburys probably annoyed you. But I mean, think about it. They had Roy Orbison, Dylan, Petty, Jeff Lynne, Harrison. Pretty amazing lineup. Lita Ford. All right, Meatloaf. Oh, okay. In 1977, yeah, I think I saw him like in '78 when they started doing stuff that I didn't like anymore. I only like stuff up to like, I don't know. I like Eldorado Overture the most. That's funny, Nissan. That's great. Styx. Yeah, so that's an interesting question, Frank. Ozman 5151. My wife absolutely hates Styx. She thinks they're the biggest joke. And I agree, when they started doing all songs about robots, I was done with them. But I really enjoy some of their earlier stuff, Renegade and Blue Collar Man. But, the Dennis DeYoung stuff is really super cheesy, I gotta admit. Yeah. I think that stuff that was more Tommy Shaw influenced, I'm guessing I like. But the Dennis DeYoung stuff just ugh. Grand Illusion, that's the one I was thinking of, yeah. From the album. Oh, Journey. Yeah. Journey, once in a while, I'm a fan of listening to some Journey. And they are pretty cheesy. Neil Sean was an incredible player. Uh, I agree, Bertrand. He did. D16 RGT. Okay. I'll have to check out that, see if I can find that Wembley concert. Thank you. The Worst are the band who did Breakfast in America. Oh my goodness. I love that album. Supertramp. Supertramp. So now that's a guilty pleasure too. Long Way Home. Long Way Home. And The Logical Song. Breakfast in America is good. Dreamer. Nilsson. Yeah, Nilsson. That's right. He had a couple of good things. I don't really listen to him at all. Oh God, it's raining again. Yeah, that's right, raining again. Oh, I just thought of another band that's kind of cheesy is Boston. Boston was kind of oh yeah, Mr. Thomas V. Toto. That's a good one. I kind of Boston and Toto are kind of there's a similarity there. I mean, that first album of Boston's was really good, but it's definitely very poppy, and it's just something that you would have liked in junior high. I think that's kind of where it's aimed. But except for maybe one or two songs, but I still love listening to. I still love listening to Hitch a Ride. That's just great. But it's definitely teeny bopper stuff for sure. David, yes, I hate to admit it too. I listen to Boston a lot, but it's definitely not grown up music. Bread is finger down the throat. Tom Scholz is a genius. I'm sure he's a genius. He made a lot of money off just a few songs, and he definitely could do what he did. But that music is geared to not a. It's not hard edged. It's definitely poppy, which is okay. Which is okay. Hmm. Roger Hodgson left Supertramp. It was over. Yeah, it's true. Yep. Skid Row. Yeah, that's exactly Bertrand. That's exactly it. They're great, but they have this cheesy aura. Yeah, I mean, my wife saw Boston when she was in sixth grade. So if it appeals to like sixth graders, all right. Yeah, Bon Jovi. I agree. Bon Jovi is another one. I don't happen to share in that guilty pleasure of Bon Jovi, but there you go. No, I don't think 2000s are better, David. I'm not trying to argue that Boston is a terrible band or anything like that. I think they're great, and I love listening to them. But Boston, you know, it's it's a bit of a guilty pleasure. Poison and gig rock. Oh, we're sounding like old men now. Poison and Kid Rock go in the same dumpster. Dumpster. I don't listen to any of that stuff. I guess Kid Rock I would probably be more amenable to if it weren't just so profane. I gotta admit, I mean, this makes me sound like a real old fogey, but when it's just so over like the Stones can sing "Let It Bleed," and it's pretty obvious, but it's they still keep it as innuendo. Fine, you know, but when it's just so over the top profane, it's just like I just don't like listening to it. I'm not gonna put it on my turntable and turn it up, you know. Exactly, TBA. Exactly. Get off my lawn, Mr. Big. That's the Mr. Big is the Paul Gilbert stuff. Now, Paul Gilbert is a Paul Gilbert sophomore song. She's only 17. Who is only 17? Take on Me. Aha. I don't know. I never really. I know what it is. My favorite version of that is there's a thing on YouTube. You can Google it and do mind. You do Aha, Mind Diamonds, and you'll have a nice laugh. That's my favorite version. Some kid singing Aha, but he changes the word to Mind Diamonds. It's really funny. all that loud, all that loud guitar music. I had a landlord once tell me that. He came up and knocked on the door and he said, "We have a report from some people downstairs that there's some loud guitar music that was coming from here. Y'all aren't playing, are you?" "Oh, no, sir." I think that there's a guy downstairs who had a keyboard. I think that's what it was. All right. Okay. Well, I hate to do this, gang, but I think I'm gonna head off for today, and I think I'm gonna call it a day. This has been a good, fun discussion. Hope you enjoyed it. I got to get on with my Sunday chores. I got a little work to do to prepare for tomorrow. And but anyway, hope you enjoyed it today. Just a little messing around. We will do none next week. It'll be another one of these fairly informal ones, and we'll do another one next week. Maybe keep it a little bit shorter, and then take a after that I'm going to take a short break. But all right, we'll see you guys later. Thanks, Fran. I appreciate you coming by. Nissan 570, McDon BR, Ozman, Garrett, TBA, David Smith. Matt was on for a little while, so we'll say goodbye to him. A lot of new people on. Welcome to everybody. I'm glad you were able to make it on. Phil M. Bertrand, Studio Deluxe. Great to see you on. Mr. Thomas V. Great to have you on. Great contribution today to the discussion. Really fun to see some of your thoughts on that. All right, gang. We'll see you. Have a good Sunday, and we'll see you on down the road.